Well, greetings and salutations, one and all. Back again is the Super Review Show's mixed bag coming to you live once again, literally from many caves. As always, I'm joined by two of the esteemed panelists here at the Super Show. Bill Murphy, how are you doing tonight?
What's going on, big guy?
It's good to see you again. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing super. How are you doing?
I'm doing super as well. So, we have a very fun topic for you. Bill, what is our topic again tonight?
Well, since we just had the release of Superman last week,
Now, the number one movie in the world.
Yes.
you know what? Let's take this moment to give that a round of applause. Let's applaud that.
Bravo.
But you know what? I just want to ask a really quick question to our connoisseur here, Mr. Favaro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Justin, do you think when they say number one movie in the world, does it really mean anything?
Well, I'll say this. It did open below expectations in the global market, but exceeded the expectations in the domestic market. It is slated to beat Man of Steel domestically. It should beat 350 million in the domestic box office with no real problem. So yeah, this is a very strong start for DC Studios and the DCU as a whole.
And that's awesome. That's very super of them to do. So,
Yes. And because yeah, but since, there have been actors who have played Superman over the decades,
yeah.
we're going to give our rankings of which one of the Supermans. Now, a couple of things here. We're only focusing on the movies.
Yes.
So no Smallville, no Adventures of Lois and Clark, that show from what was it,
The
the
90s.
90s just as?
No George Reeves Superman.
From the
Yeah, no
50s.
disrespect to George Reeves.
Even
Nope.
though technically Superman the Moment was theatrically released.
Yeah, but we're not ranking George Reeves, we're not ranking Smallville or Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Or
And
Nicolas Cage,
Oh,
unfortunately.
I know.
and we're only doing live action, so no animated will be on this list.
Yep. Just strictly the four.
Damn, Nicolas Cage gets snubbed twice.
Damn. So yeah, we're just gonna be talking about the four main actors that played him, and those four actors are Christopher Reeve, Brandon Routh, Henry Cavill, and none other than David. Is Cottonworth? How do I say his name?
Hornswet.
Hornsworth. I butchered everyone's name. I'm so sorry out there.
How did we get Cottonworth from that?
I must have misread it. I'm sorry. Anyways, let's get right into it, shall we? So why don't we start with Bill's 4-1 because it's gonna work a little bit different tonight. We're gonna be doing our just a regular list of number 4 to number 1 and how we rank our, and we're gonna give a little bit of background on each one. This might be a quick episode. We're not sure yet, but anyways, Bill, why don't you kick us off with your 4-1 for Superman actors?
Okay, I'm going to start off with my number 4 is Brandon Routh. I
Okay.
just thought, okay, you know what? Before I begin, I just want to say something. This was a little hard for me because I think Superman is based more on effects than acting. So I might talk more about the movie itself, if that's okay with my esteemed co-host. Is that esteemed co-host? Is that okay with you?
Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But here's what I feel, and I've watched clips of Superman Returns, and I'll tell you this: I think Superman Returns is probably one of the worst Superman movies because I think here was the problem. This was released the year after Batman Begins, and I think Bryan Singer, to his credit, he was a big Superman fan, and what I found pretty interesting was he was very. You know what? We're just gonna put because this is a continuation of Superman 2.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, yes.
Basically, we're just gonna sit here and pretend Superman 3 and 4 doesn't exist.
It was a direct
As
sequel to
most
Superman 2.
people do.
But this was released the year after Batman Begins, and I kind of felt like they tried to go the same route, as in trying to be like realistic, but like with realism. But the thing is, you can't do that. You can
Mm.
do it with Batman, but you can't do it with Superman because someone like Superman wouldn't exist in a real universe, while someone like Batman would. But alright, now here's my thing about Brandon Routh. I kind of feel like he was more stoic than, say, like Christopher Reeves or Henry Cavill or Dave Cornsweet. I feel like he was more stoic, and I just feel like when he tries to come out and say like something that say Christopher Reeves would say, it would be it felt like it was just kind of forced and kind of didn't come out natural. Like when he rescues the plane, which effects wise looked amazing.
Mm.
But then when he says, everyone's safe, okay, hope you guys won't choose against flying. It is still the safest form of transportation. And yeah, here's a little thing I don't think that a lot of people look at. This was the first Superman movie after 9/11, so X-nay on the INA safe A.
Well, that was a line from the original movie.
Okay. But you see what I'm getting at? It just comes out as kind of forced.
A little bit.
I just don't think Ralph really has the charm.
Mm. I can see that though.
I don't think Brandon Ralph really has the charm as Superman. And I think his performance isn't necessarily bad.
Hmm.
It's just, I mean, it's just man. I just don't think he was the right choice. He doesn't have the charm or the charisma to be Superman. Like when Christopher Reeve says that line, you could get a chuckle out of it. But with Brandon Ralph, it just kind of feels weird. So I think on my list, I'm putting him at number 4. I'm putting Ralph at 4.
Okay. All right.
My number
Go
we're
ahead. I'm
going
sorry.
individual.
Yes, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Okay, my number
Num-
3 is Henry Cavill. My number 3 is Henry Cavill from Man
Okay.
of who was Superman in Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Zack Snyder's Justice League,
'Cause-
and also the Whedon cut too, right? He was in the Whedon. Yeah,
yeah,
Yes.
but we don't talk about the Whedon cut.
the Whedon cut is our Bruno. We don't talk about it.
Yeah. Literally.
But here's my thing with Cavill. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I wasn't the biggest fan of Man of Steel. I didn't think it was bad. The first half of the movie I thought it was just boring.
Hmm.
First half, but once he flies, it's fine from there. It's fine from here on in. I think Cavill did good as Superman. And I see him in I like Henry Cavill as Superman. He was very but I think again it kind of serves Man of Steel kind of has that same problem that Superman Returns does, that it's trying to be more realist. It's trying to be like that Nolan Batman type, but I don't feel it as heavy here. But you know what? I feel like in this case, like him as Clark Kent, I feel like he's more confrontational. I kind of like I feel like in the other ones, I feel Clark is a little more socially awkward. But no, he's more confrontational. Like in the scene of Batman versus Superman, I know we have to pretend that movie exists for a minute. Um, the scene when he is as Clark, when he's talking to Bruce Wayne, when he's like, when you feel, and in that movie, you feel him as Clark Kent, that he's being a reporter. He's not just some passive, hey, get the story on the, I don't know, on the newlywed scheme. He's actually doing hard hitting news, and you can actually respect Clark for that. He's not just the nerdy, socially awkward guy at the Daily Planet.
Mm.
He is an actual journalist. But him as Superman, I feel like at times he can be a little bland. But there are things I do like about him, is like when he's talking to Luthor in Batman v Superman, he does tend to be more confrontational. He does tend to, and or in Man of Steel, we have to talk about it. We have to. The scene when he kills Zod. You can see that was an emotion. That the emotion of that was absolutely brilliantly timed. And because you know what, it kind of ties into the first scene, and even though Cavill is not in this scene, when young Clark saves the bus, and when Papa Kent's chastising him, he goes, "What was I supposed to do? Let them die?" And he goes, "I don't know, maybe." And like, here's where I'll defend that scene. It's not saying that Papa Kent is saying, "Oh, those people's lives don't matter, let them die." It's just saying that he's gonna have to make some tough decisions. Is that he is gonna have to make some tough decisions. And that ties back into him killing Zod. He had to make a tough decision. Justin, am I right or am I crazy?
Um, I'll talk a little bit when you get to me.
But it shows then that he had to make a tough decision. And listen, I wasn't as bothered by that as a lot of other people were. Like, no, remember when that first happened? People were literally having a stroke.
I think they were having more of a stroke about a later scene.
No, no, the Zod scene. Wait,
I'll get to it when we get to me.
okay, but no,
Yep.
people were literally having a stroke over that. That Superman doesn't kill people. He has in
Oh
the
yeah,
comics.
the Killing Zod one. Yeah, absolutely.
Has in the comics. Guys, I think you're getting your speak.
Uh
I'm gonna let you cover that more. But the thing is, but I think Cavill's Superman was good, but I don't think it was great. I think it was maybe okay. Like, I liked him as Clark Kent, but Superman, I could take him or leave him. Like, I think it's but no, again, the scene when he kills Zod, it really shows that he has to make tough decisions. And he was feeling the emotion of making that tough decision. And I think that makes him a little more relatable. Okay, my number 2, David Corn Sweat. Is that how you say his name?
yeah.
David Corn Sweat. And okay, this is a bit of recency bias,
Hmm.
and I'm going to try to keep spoilers to a minimum. But I really liked David Corn Sweat as the new Man of Steel. I really liked him. I think he was sort of that pure Superman, the fights for truth, justice, in the American way.
Yeah.
And he doesn't kill anyone. And okay, yeah, he does. But he's not this he's okay. You know what? I feel like they can either take it to be super dark or they could take it to be super campy. But I think here they find a nice balance. And Justin thinks I'm an idiot. But anyway,
No, no, no. There's something that I'm still internally struggling with.
but I like that they had that balance. It has the dark moments. And plus, you know, at the end of when he gives that speech, go, "This is a world for everyone." And like, listen, I hate to get into the political stuff here, I really do. But people are calling Superman woke now. Yes, we finally hit that.
Superman's always been woke.
Because you know what it is, and I actually found something on Facebook today, and I wish I could give credit, but I can't remember. And it was from a gentleman who's the father of 3 boys, and he posted something like, "Everyone's calling I'm not going verbatim here, but just calling Superman woke and saying, listen, I think the world needs a Superman right now. Someone who's kind, strong, empathetic, and with all the stuff that's going on nowadays with the manosphere garbage, which we're not getting into that. Go look it up, go Google it, what that is, and all these alpha males. No, I said I would rather have my sons be like Superman than these manosphere types. I'm sorry, I don't remember it word for word. Please forgive me. But no, I think Dave Corn Sweat was at that nice balance between campy but also dark. Because this movie, it does have dark moments. Could we agree on
Oh
that?
yeah.
Especially, I just want to say, the small spoiler, the kryptonite scene is really creepy.
Yeah.
The kryptonite scene is very creepy. But no, I like Dave Corn Sweat, but you know what? Like the same thing is, I feel like yeah, we get it. Clark Kent and Superman are the same people, but he does play them as the same people.
Hmm.
That's my one small flaw. But his performance overall, I thought he was great. Okay, I think we all know what my number one is. We know what it is. Christopher Reeve. And I think okay, like here's the thing though, even though I said I did like Henry Cavill's Clark Kent, I like Christopher Reeves trying to differentiate how he does try to differentiate between Clark Kent and Superman.
Hmm.
Like how he does differentiate how he does act how he when he's Clark Kent he's very socially awkward, but when he's Superman he has a little more bravado. And the humor that he has as Superman, it's not like laugh out loud, piss your pants funny, but it is kind of you can get a good chuckle out of it. Like when the criminals are scaling the building,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Can I help you guys?" Like you can imagine Superman saying something like that. You can imagine going, "Can I help you guys?" And of course, the scene when he pulls off the when he turns time back, and yes, the effects are very cheesy, but it was the late '70s. What are you gonna do? Or when he is getting interviewed by Lois,
Hmm.
by Lois Lane. He's turning. You don't see the awkward, mild mannered reporter for the Daily Planet. You see him put on the charm. You know what I'm saying? You see him put on the charm. Like Superman. Do you have a girlfriend? Going, no, but if I do, you'll be the first one to know, Miss Lane. Like, you could tell he's very. Like, he is that very charming, very. That he is very charming, and he is very. But how he can differentiate between Clark and Superman, like in Superman 2. The scene when. The scene when. The scene when Lois is trying to find out if Clark is Superman, when she takes the gun and shoots him.
Donner cut, by the way.
That's the Donner cut.
Mm.
And he's like, that would hurt Clark Kent. So you are Superman. And yeah, I love that. Or in Superman 2, when when he's in the Fortress of Solitude, and Zod is like, kneel before me. And you think he's like, no, no, Superman, don't. But then, guess what? Brushes his hand and throws him. It's like he has that balance of being charming, but he can be the badass. And Clark Kent and Christopher Reeve's balance between socially awkward and socially awkward as Clark Kent, charming and cool as Superman, I think is great. And also, I also want to take this moment to, also about not just Christopher Reeves as the fictional Man of Steel, but in real life, he was the Man of Steel after everything he went through. Like, I just want to conclude with this. There was a little comic that was released after Clark Kent died. I mean, after Christopher Reeve died. It had Superman on over Christopher Reeve's grave, and Superman said, he's looking at the grave and goes, "He was my hero." He said he was my hero. So not only is just the fictional Man of Steel, but as the real Man of Steel, Christopher Reeve is my number one Superman.
All right, you're here first. That's Bill's listing of his 4 actors who played Superman. Justin, go ahead, bud.
Okay, so you're gonna hear a lot of the same because I basically swiped right.
Damn.
Damn.
Times 4 you swiped
But
right.
I am gonna explain why I swiped right exactly now. So number 4, Brandon Routh. Yeah, this was all because Brian Singer decided to continue um the Richard Donner Superman story. Um they got Brandon Routh, who was I think 24 at the time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was
That
young. And we were led to believe that this Superman has a kid with Lois Lane, who in the movie was played by Kate Bosworth, who was 22 at the time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is making it even worse.
Yeah. I'll get into it in a little bit, but
So, yeah. Questionable casting choices aside, let's look at the actual performances. Um, this was a cover band performance of Christopher Reeve's Superman. And not even a great cover band performance. I'm talking about like party at a dive bar band cover.
oh wow.
Yeah. Like you can tell he's trying, and his Clark Kent's actually not that bad. But his Superman, Bill, you're right. He doesn't have that charm. And it's in the inflections of his voice that it doesn't read Superman. Like he doesn't have that bravado that Christopher Reeve gave the character.
Mhm.
Um and I'll get more to that when I get to Christopher Reeve. But there are two moments in the movie. Okay, three. But two moments that aren't CGI related that I can really think of. And it's when Superman and Lois are flying and he tells Lois, I hear everyone that's calling out for a hero every day. Um and then there's this one moment where he's just up in the stratosphere, like listening to all the voices listening out for a hero, and it's like every voice at once, and that's, to me, is like a quintessential Superman moment. But all that amounts to about a minute of great Superman stuff that isn't CGI related.
Mhm.
And to me, if you can't get Superman right without CGI, then you kind of fail the subject. Like there's
Ye-
more to Superman than the fights and the effects. And if you want to get into that, Superman doesn't even land a punch in this movie.
He really doesn't.
Like, you want to talk about like Christopher Reeve 1978, fine. Like, the effects weren't there to really do a super fight justice, but this was 2006. I think we were there.
I tend to agree.
Hey, but the bullet scene that was pretty cool actually.
Oh yeah, when he shoots him in the eye.
Yeah.
Again, he doesn't land a punch. He's purely defense and like no offense.
Hmm. Good point.
Now, let's talk about the other side of the spectrum. Number three, Henry Cavill.
Oh yeah, Man of Steel.
Um,
Go on.
where Superman Returns was trying to be a character study on a deadbeat dad Superman. This was a lot lighter on character and more heavy on the action. Um, Zack Snyder had a very specific vision for his Superman, and it does not fit the traditional model of Superman. Not only does this Superman have blood on his hands, Zod's to be specific, um, he was being set up to be the dragon to Darkseid. Darkseid would gain control over Superman through the anti-life equation and take over the world with him as his dragon.
Hmm.
Um, Very specific vision, very niche. Um, definitely takes away some of the fundamentals. He is less concerned about the character of Superman and more of the look of the Superman. But he wanted to tell a Beware the Superman story. He wanted to deconstruct Superman and put him back together and take him apart again and put him back with new parts. And you don't need to do that. Not with Superman. Um, some of the ideas that they were going with were interesting. But it's just more of a curiosity than an excitement. And honestly, if they ever do like a continuation comic, I might read it, but I was not really on board for more Snyderverse. Um, he does have some cool scenes in Zack Snyder's Justice League, especially when going up against Steppenwolf. Just stops Steppenwolf's axe when he's going to kill Cyborg. Boom! Not impressed. But again, Snyder was just focused on the coolness of Superman, not necessarily about what makes him tick. Um, Zack Snyder does not believe in a pure Superman. He has said as such. He says that if you are believe that Superman doesn't kill people, you're living in the dream world.
Mm.
And I say, good. Dreams lift people up. Dreams inspire us. And that's what Superman's about. That is the core to Superman, is to inspire.
Yes.
Which leads me to my number 2. See how I keep segueing?
Yep. Keep going.
My number 2 is David Cornsweet. Now, what I'm going to say is a little controversial. He
Oh.
has the potential to eventually become number 1. I see that potential. Couple things that I need to see though. I need to see more of his Clark Kent because we got all of 2 scenes of Clark Kent. Like I don't get a sense of his in between Jimmy Olsen or Perry White or anything like that besides 1 or 2 lines. Like I need more. Um and I think that's just gonna come with time. Like right now, Superman is number 1 at the box office. A sequel seems likely. Um, I hear they're looking to do like a TV show centered around the Daily Planet crew, which I would be on board for because that crew just seems ripe for television.
And they're gonna make it strictly for HBO Max. But go on.
Probably.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Um, but talk about a hopeful, joyful Superman. This is someone who sees the value of life in all living beings. He when he and the Justice Gang were trying to take down the kaiju, he was in favor of like uh detaining him, putting him in a zoo. He stopped the kaiju from stepping on a dog. He saved a effing squirrel. A squirrel.
Which is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. But go on.
This is someone who sees all life is sacred and just sees the value of life and is just pure good. He is kindness in an era where kindness is old fashioned.
Hmm.
And I honestly can't wait to see what we see out of David Corn Sweat because he is the new punk rock. We finally have a punk rock Superman, which is odd, but I'm kind of here for it.
Oh yeah, totally. But if this is your number
Um,
2, then
well, I still have one more thing.
sure, go
There
ahead. Sorry.
is one moment in this movie, trying not to spoil it, where it seems like Superman might have been uh I wouldn't say he killed someone, but he at least led to this person's death. But we don't really see a body, so maybe they're not dead. So maybe the Superman has not killed. I'm not sure. But still, miles and miles ahead of my number 3 choice. Is my number 2 choice. And what comes after number 2 is my
Number
number 1.
one.
I didn't have a good segue for this one. I'm sorry.
I'm
It's
very
okay.
disappointed in you, Justin.
Um, but my number 1 is Christopher Reeve. Um, in the first Superman movie, there is a moment where Clark Kent is picking Lois Lane up for a date. And for a moment, he contemplates telling Lois that he's Superman. And he stands up. He starts acting a little more confident. And his voice goes a little deeper. Lois, there's something I have to tell you. I'm really. And then he gets cold feet, and automatically he goes back to slouching, puts on the glasses again, and he's like, "I mean, I really was nervous about tonight, but gosh, Dolly, like, you, just on a dime, he could just become Superman, just like that. It wasn't the costume; it was his mannerisms. It was just perfect. And Bill, you mentioned the other moment that you could see this too was when in the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, when Lois shoots Clark with a blank, um, Clark reacts immediately by going into Superman mode. And you just see it like that in his eyes and his body language is just like he Christopher Reeve mastered the duality of the role like nothing else.
Hmm.
But he did play Superman as if Clark Kent was kind of the mask.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
I've noticed too.
that's that has to do with pre-crisis versus post-crisis interpretations of the character.
Mm.
Um, you see, before I would say 1986, Superman was more in touch with his Kryptonian heritage. Where when John Byrne got his hands on the character in 1986, he revamped the character as appreciating his Kryptonian heritage, but wholeheartedly deciding that he is an Earthling in his heart and soul.
Mm.
And you know what? It's kind of like when you said that he is an earthling in heart and soul because, getting back to the when people call him woke, but it's basically I could basically use the comparison for people who are like immigrants who come to this country, for instance. Like, they're probably proud of their birth country, but when they come here, they start embracing their American side.
Yeah, because they are becoming Americans. Um, like you had your birth country, but that was your old life. Now is your new life. Um, like sometimes there are people who aren't able to let go of their old life. Um, and I think that was the struggle that Superman was going through in the new movie that just came out, was coming to terms with his Kryptonian heritage, um, along with his Earth upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Christopher Reeve is definitely my number one. But I will say David Cornsweet has the room to grow into my number one choice.
I can agree with that.
Me too. Alrighty, that's Justin's list. It's the same exact list as Bill, and my list is slightly different from both yours, but it's somewhat similar at the same time. So I'll explain in a second. All right. So for me, my number four, we all pretty much swiped our number four at least. My number four is, believe it or not, is actually Superman Returns. Brandon Routh. I've heard defenses about this movie. I will say it's a good movie. Well, I don't think it's a good comic book movie. Personally, I don't think it's a good Superman.
It's not terrible. It's
So
just
it's not terrible. It's just not what we expect.
long and kind of boring, and
Barely any action scenes. And so, well, I mean, there's the Kryptonian scene.
Superman doesn't land a single punch.
Yeah, there's no fighting in it with him, and there's only like Lex Luthor stabs him at one point. But so, regardless, though, I would say that my number four would be Superman Returns, strictly because uh, it's probably the least memorable too. When I was younger, I was like, "Oh my god, Superman, a new Superman movie," but then it's like, "Oh, it's a poor Superman movie. It's not the best one we could get." Which I, a couple years like I didn't see Man of Steel theaters, but I'll get into it in a second. But with Superman Returns, I guess it's not a bad movie. It's just it's not what we kind of expected. If you
It
know,
it it felt like a compilation album.
it really did. That's a really accurate way of saying that. Actually, thank you. Um, but my number four, and I'm going a little fast for the sake of time here because I'm just trying to do stuff a little quickly here. My number four is Brandon Routh, Superman Returns. My number, it's funny. My number three is Man. My number three is Man of Steel's Superman from 2013, and that's no. I have a little bit of a different opinion than both of you on this. Yes, Zack Snyder wanted a different type of Superman, but I was all for it. I mean, coming off of because the last Superman movie we had before Man of Steel was Superman Returns, and that I think Zack Snyder learned what people didn't like and liked about that movie, and he took obviously the fight choreography and the fight sequences were really, really, really intense. Yes, but at the same time, I feel like the flight sequences were really great. The fighting between him and Zod was top notch. Um, I this is the Snyderverse Superman. Henry Cavill, I think, did the best he could post Man of Steel, like the Batman versus Superman. However you feel about it, I still feel like the extended cut is the superior version, personally, out there. But that's just me. Like that extended cut is actually a good movie on its own. Not the theatrical cut that got released. I'm talking about the 3 hour extended cut of that movie. But Henry Cavill, I think he was a solid choice to play Superman. His Clark Kent was a little funky though. Like he actually like was very I believe, but he also wasn't Clark Kent until the very end. He was pretty much Superman the whole movie. I mean, he was Clark in the beginning and the end. In the middle, he was just Superman, like the Man of Steel, which I liked a lot. Don't get me wrong. Now the whole killing thing, I don't want to get into it because we could be here for another hour. But basically, it's do I like the choice? No, but given the situation at hand, would he do it? While watching the family die or having like that or kill Zod? I mean, he did feel really that choice. Don't get me
So
wrong.
why
As a
couldn't
character,
he
I mean,
just
but that's just
fly
my 2 cents on
Zod
that.
up in the air?
I didn't write the screenplay, so I don't know. That's my answer to that. But I don't know. I did not see this in theaters, and this out of the 4 big comic movies in 2013: Iron Man 3, The Wolverine, Thor: The Dark World, and Man of Steel. I still think this is probably the best one of the 4 that came out of the year. Personally, that's just me. But Man of Steel is my number. This Henry Cavill Superman is my number 3. My number 2. Again, recency bias might come into play here, and I did not swipe right with both you guys, but my number 2 is Christopher Reeve because I was so taken back by David Corn.
A pox on your house.
I'm gonna butcher his name. Was it Cornsworth? What I'm butchering it again. I'm sorry. Justin, how do you say it?
Corin Sweat.
Cornsworth. Thank you. I grew up with the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. All 4 of them. Yes, unfortunately, I have to say 4 because the Superman 3 and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, were horrible. Superman 1 and 2 are some of the best comic movies of all time, in my opinion. But Superman 1, the movie, is still to this day a work of art and cinema amongst all of filmmaking. I love it. Superman 2 is one of the best comic book sequels ever. I'm throwing the Dark Knight films in there. I'm throwing like Iron Man, or like Captain America. Like I'm throwing those in there. Superman 2 is a solid sequel, and you don't get Zod until the second movie. That was pretty clever on their part with Richard Donner. I think that's pretty cool. But 3 and 4 with Richard Pryor and Nuclear Man with my nuclear fingernails. Give me a break. But I love Christopher Reeve's Superman so much. But I think the recency bias for I'm going to butcher his name again. Justin, how Corn Sweat?
Yeah.
Thank you. Christopher Reeve's Superman will always have a special place in my heart. But there's something about adoring the past, but accepting what comes later. David Cornsweat's Superman, man, I was taken back by how well, at least I received him. He is my number 1. And this could all change tomorrow. But as of right now, it stands that this Superman, but David Cornsweat's Superman, currently stands at my number 1 because when I go to Superman, I feel like he was a combination of the action of Man of Steel, the heartfelt of Christopher Reeve, and the caringness of, well, I'm not saying Brandon Routh Superman was caring, but just, he kind of embodied, I feel like he took the best of all of the previous Supermen and said, hey, I want to make my own thing out of this. Let's see what I can do. And sure enough, he delivered really, really, really well. I was floored by how much I loved the new Superman movie. Like, I think James Gunn knew what he wanted. He knew how to get it, and he delivered a fantastic new take on a timeless character known as Superman. So my number 1, in order, because my list is a little bit different than Bill and Justin's because they both swiped right together with their list exactly, which I don't blame them. It's hard to come up with a list like this. But I would say mine is Brandon Routh from 2006 with Superman Returns. My next one would have to be Henry Cavill's Superman. It was great for the time, but then Batman v Superman came out, Justice League came out, and then the whole Snyderverse kind of like imploded on itself, unfortunately. So, but it was good for the time. Christopher Reeve is an all-time great. He's a timeless Superman. But there's something about what they did with this new Superman movie that just came out, David Cornsweet, and I fell in love with comic book movies again. Like this was the movie. I think that's what's holding the most weight with this, personally for me, is that this Superman movie that just came out back this month in July of 2025 really, really, really showed me how great comic book movies can be. How they're not just, oh, it's a Marvel film, or no. This, to me, James Gunn brought us a great character back to the forefront and showed the audiences we have a great character and we're going to deliver it well. So that's why I loved this new one so much, guys, so much. But my list's a little bit different. It could go back to Christopher Reeve anytime, but for right now, it is currently my number one Superman is David Cornsweet from this year of 2025. It was such a great. It made me believe in heroes and certain things again. It was a really powerful film for me. The more I sit with it, I'm like, damn, that was really something special. So
Because you know what it is.
yeah, go ahead.
A couple things. Whilst I disagree with you, but I kind of agree with what Justin said. Use an analogy in my world, which is sports. Oh God, I really hate to say this. This is gonna hurt so much.
Oh.
How people would argue that Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time. Yeah, yes, that hurt to say.
Oh,
No,
why?
I'm in pain. But the guy has 7 Super Bowl rings. We can't debate that. But does that mean like quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow or Josh Allen? Does that mean they're never going to be number one?
They
Do
have
they
time.
have the time and potential to be the best quarterback in the NFL? Of course they do. And that's how I view when you said, Justin, going that David Cornsweet could be the best Superman. And yes, that hurt that I had to praise Tom Brady.
And Bill's a huge Giants fan, so
But
yeah,
you know what? I just want to say I can at least still live with the fact that my team beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl twice.
good
That
for
is
you.
so great to say. But anyway, but no, I agree with what you say. I think Dave Cornsweet can be number one of these days.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I put him in number one just because I thought I was so taken back by it. But again, your opinion is more valid than mine, guys. So
I
Except
need
ours is correct.
I need to see more of his Clark Kent.
I wouldn't mind a
So
TV show of him and the Daily Planet with them. But that's me.
So would you say, Justin, like putting him at number one? No offense, JT, but would you say putting him at number one is a bit of a recency bias?
Personally, yeah. But I would also just say I need to see more of his Clark Kent because we really didn't get any of it at all. He was mostly Superman throughout this whole thing. Which, yeah, it's called Superman, not Clark Kent, but still.
Yeah. So there you go. That's it, guys, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much
Yep.
it.
Well, we want to thank you for watching, listening. However, you enjoyed our podcast, and ultimately, this is our current list. It could change it could change in the next year or so. We have to see more of David Cornsweet, of course, but that's where I'm sitting right now. And then you heard where Bill and Justin are sitting too. We want to thank you for watching, listening. However, you enjoyed our podcast, and thanks so much for tuning in as always to our show. Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages as well. Simply at the Super Review Show on Facebook and Instagram. Excuse me, I have hiccups. At on those two social media platforms. We do a lot of postings all the time about all different stuff that we like to do here at the Super Review Show, both with our podcast and without our podcast. Look for we do this live on Wednesday night. Look for tomorrow on our YouTube channel. Journey into Mystery Comic Club will be back discussing another Superman comic book that Justin brought up. And Justin, what is the issue again?
Yes, we will be discussing the issue Superman Annual number 11 for the man who has everything.
Yes.
Hmm.
I've read over it once. I got to go over it again just to be on the safe side of things. But and I know Bill is ready to go join in too if need be. If need be, I forgot if he's joining up. But yeah, either way, we're excited to bring back Journey to Mystery Comic Club is going to be back live on the Super Review Show's YouTube channel tomorrow, Thursday, July 17th. And Bill, you have a sports something?
Yes, check out the Sports Insanity podcast on the Sports Insanity Network. Check us out. We're on all platforms. And also check out me and Reg's side podcast, Bombers Banter, which when we talk everything New York Yankees. Check out our new one that we did last night where we recap the first half of the season and preview the second half. So check that out. We're available on all platforms.
All righty, and we want to again thanks so much for tuning to our podcast as always, ladies and gents out there. We really appreciate it. But for all of us here at the Super Review Show, please stay safe, take care, and
Be
stay
awesome.
Awesome.
stay super.